Biden had a job that he was going to try to tackle on this tour, meeting with all these leaders. And he is carrying with him, though, this dark truth. That's how Greg Sargent, a columnist at the Washington Post, puts it, a dark truth that Biden can't avoid. And what I'm talking about, I'll just cut to the chase, is the fascism that is burgeoning in this country. It's growing exponentially every day as state legislatures controlled by Christian fascists continue to eliminate the power of individual voting, as they continue to apply restrictions on just about everything they can get their filthy hands on, from teaching an honest history of the United States to respecting the rights of gender differentiated people in this country. All of it is Christian-based. I hope you understand that. I know a lot of people who listen to this program are not Christian fascists. They are Christians. But I hope you understand it is your religion. And the fact that Christians who just want to follow a gentle message of peace on earth, goodwill toward men, that gentle message does not exist anymore from the Christian fascists. It's not there. So I don't know what to tell you. Well, I have nothing to tell you. It's not my business what you believe, is it? But if you maintain that you are a Christian in America 2021, you are supporting a violent, vicious, hate-filled religion that is destroying everything it touches. I hope you're aware of that. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah, talking about Joe Biden and his travels to Europe. Now, he is trying to make the case that here in the United States, democracy is on the rebound after 4 years of fascism under the orange vomit. And Biden is trying to paint himself as the leader who can show the struggle between democracy and autocracy, which is the term that the media are using, autocracy. I call it fascism. But that he, Joe Biden, and the United States can lead the struggle between democracy and fascism. And he's been reading this book that is very popular. I don't have the author's name in front of me here, but How Democracies Die. Who was a famous historian who wrote that just recently. But he's been consulting that book. And apparently, Biden sees that book, How Democracies Die, as a seminal text that is illuminating the struggle between fascism and struggling democracy. And I have to tell you, in my opinion, democracy is losing globally, not just here. It's more incremental here, it's slower here, but democracy is losing. So while Biden is in Europe trying to do that, back here in the United States, he's taken a hands-off approach to this crazy fucker in West Virginia, Senator Joe Manchin, who claims to be a Democrat, on voting rights. Voting rights. How, as a senator in the United States Congress, if you are a Democrat, how do you take a hands-off approach to guaranteeing voting rights? How do you do that? Well, you don't. Joe Manchin is not a Democrat, very simply. He uses that title or that appellation, but I don't know why, but he's not a Democrat. So Biden has reportedly not said anything to Manchin about reconsidering Manchin's opposition to the Democratic Party's package of voting reforms, or to ending the filibuster, which Manchin has said he's not going to do. What a fuckhead. I mean, come on. These are perilous times. And to have some dinosaur like Joe Manchin talking about, well, the traditions of the Senate. Oh, fuck you, Joe. What, with Mitch McConnell, after living through 8 years of Obama and watching how Mitch McConnell destroyed everything he could where it concerned Obama's attempts to reconfigure this society, whether it was economically, judicially, socially, and now he's vowed, the turtle, McConnell has vowed to do the same thing to Biden, and Manchin wants to sit there and say, well, I don't think we should do that. Fuck you, Joe. I mean, seriously, why don't you go get lost in a coal mine someplace? Just forget about it. But anyway, all of this tension, unspoken, but there between Biden and Manchin, signals a really deep tension in this country. For example, Joe Biden has spoken several times now in his addresses to the public since he's been president about the fascist right in this country and the fact that it's on the march, and the serious dangers that these right-wing monsters pose to democracy. But what's not clear, because Joe Biden is not and never has been a liberal, and I don't say that critically, it's just observational. I mean, look at his record. But it's not clear how seriously Joe Biden takes his own rhetoric on these matters. I don't know. Is Biden really concerned about democracy versus fascism? I would think so. But how often are we fooled by politicians who present themselves as this and turn out to be that? So anyway, his trip, this extended trip that he's making to meet world leaders in the West, including the Nazi fucker Vladimir Putin. His trip is coming at the same time that the United States is sending these conflicting messages about the durability of liberal governance and democracy. Now, recently there was a New York Times analysis that sums this up in a sentence. Here it is, quote, Mr. Biden, who will arrive for a series of summit meetings, buoyed by a successful vaccination program and a rebounding economy, will spend the next week making the case that America is back and ready to lead the West anew in what he calls an existential collision between democracies and autocracies. Okay. Now, keep in mind that the response under the filthy orange vomit, the disgusting subhuman Donald Trump, the response to COVID-19 raised some very serious questions about our capacity, the capacity of our leadership to solve large public problems. If anything, that's what the Trump filth pointed out, that given a sick fuck like Donald Trump in a position of CEO of the United States, everything collapses. Everything. But now Joe Biden is going to cite the success of the vaccine rollout and the passage of this huge economic rescue package, the one that had already passed, as evidence that liberal democratic governance can deliver. Yes, fitfully, but that it can deliver. Now, how credibly Biden can act as a spokesman for democracy itself is a good question, Joe Biden. That Times piece reports that some European observers fear that the poison, the destruction, the fascist forces unleashed by the orange vomit's takeover of an already dying Republican Party, that these European observers are afraid that this rotten son of a bitch could easily recapture power, and not just by winning the Christian fascists, the 2022 and 2024 elections, but by doing it through anti-democratic means, the way Putin does. the way Xi Jinping does, the way Orban does, the way Bolsonaro does. This is what Barry Pavel, the director of the Scowcroft Center for Strategy and Security at the Atlantic Council, this is what he said, quote, those would be European leaders, they have seen the state of the Republican Party. They've seen January 6th. They know you could have another president in 2024, end quote. And as the New York Times reports a couple of times now, European officials note that the orange vomit's death grip on the Republican Party is not weakening. In fact, it is strengthening. That's why, the main reason why, the Republican Party is dead. It's a fucking zombie. It does not exist anymore. The Christian Fascist Party is the one that Trump, a spawn of the Christian demon, now controls. Trump controls it totally. And Biden himself, according to the Washington Post, Biden hopes to cite his successes here in the first, whatever it's been, days of his administration as proof of the democracy, the strength of democracy here in the United States. And as a Biden advisor told the Wall Street Journal, Biden will argue that democracy is proving it can, quote, still deliver in a way that people will feel, end quote. You know, I would like to believe that, wouldn't you? I mean, as shaky as democracy can be at times, because it allows for the sick, rotten, filthy bastards like Donald Trump, it allows them to breathe the air that freedom-loving people breathe, the same air, instead of putting the son of a bitch in a sealed room somewhere. That's what makes me fear for the survival of democracy, because democracy allows the nutfucks around the fringes to eat their way to the center. And if they have the help of a sick, twisted, fucked up religion to push their way in, then all bets are off. And that's the main thing. And you know this if you're a regular listener to the program. Hell, I've been talking about this for what, a decade? 2 decades? This is the thing that is so frightening to me. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.